What differences from the logistics perspective, warehousing perspective, do you see when it comes to dealing with some of these things like pharmaceuticals that need FDA approval? What are some of the differences versus some more common items or like
Well,
household items?
well, as you can imagine, right, this is a very heavily regulated space. And so there's a lot of things that we've got to be mindful of. So from the various temperatures that you need to store and ship these products in to how they're handled as it moves through the supply chain. And so when you think about it, whether it's cold chain product and cold chain, you get products that are anywhere from 2 to 8 degrees Celsius all the way down to minus 196 degrees Celsius. So you have the variation in temperatures. So that requires a lot of work and effort to make sure that you're storing and distributing those products in the appropriate storage temperature. So once it gets to the end destination and for patient use, the product is viable and there's no issues from that perspective. And so there are a lot of complexities to that as we think about it. And then I will tell you that we've seen a lot of challenges and changes over the years, whether it's weather disruptions or other things that are going on that can impact what's happening in logistics. And so there is quite a bit of complexity.
Yeah, sounds like it. And you said negative
Negative
196
196.
degrees. That's insane. That sounds so cold. So tell us a little bit about how do you make sure you have the proper controls in place to be able to keep up with some of these regulations? And then I'm sure the regulations change over time too. So how do you make sure that you're staying up to date and then also making sure you're adhering to these regulations? Because in some cases, I imagine if you fall outside of, say, the temperature range, it becomes not viable anymore, right?
Right. We obviously pay very close attention to the regulatory landscape and what's changing and evolving. And then we're looking at how does that impact our operations and what changes do we need to make, whether that's investments in new technologies and capabilities or processes to support the trends that we're seeing. And so, as an example, there's an incredible amount of growth and activity taking place with cell and gene therapy type products. Well, those products are ones that require the minus 80 to minus 196 degrees Celsius storage. And so we're looking at what do we see is coming to the market? What does the future look like? Where do we need to invest as an organization? Where do we need to make sure that we're ready to support that? And then we work with a lot of teams within Cardinal Health around whether it's quality and regulatory and other groups to make sure that we understand the requirements and what we need to put into place to comply with those to make sure that everything operates the way that it should.